Hello there. As promised, I said I would share with you an updated training on sugar. Hence my sugary lips. Not my sugary lips, but someone's sugary lips looking at you. So I actually went through an older webinar I did on sugar a couple of years ago. And I've cut and pasted a few slides from that. But it was interesting, I took out a number of slides because they're not relevant anymore. And that's how quickly the world of nutrition and science and research moves so quickly and benefits us as the consumer because things are changing and we know so much more now about what sugar's doing to our body and how we can address it. So that is really, really cool. Sugar comes in so many guises and it's not like the sugar of our grandparents, and in those days they would consume occasionally sugar with their tea. It might be 5 teaspoons a day. It was not added to everything they ate because basically they ate, as you know, very simple, very clean, very real food. But today tells a very, very different story. Now, sugar is one of the major metabolism disruptors, as is hormones, as you all well know. If your hormones are out of whack and causing you chaos, it can really disrupt your metabolism, as can too much caffeine, as can too much alcohol. And for those that you would wake up with the 3 a.m. alcohol liver, that is a metabolism disruptor. Dieting with deprivation, what I mean about that is when you go on a very low calorie, low kilojoule diet and really deprive your body of its normal level of energy, then that can cause havoc with your metabolism. And your body responds accordingly by panicking. It might allow you to go on for a few days, even a few weeks, but it eventually panics and sends you into what I call the famine reaction. And it thinks it's starving, so it does all sorts of other things to prevent that from happening. Consuming the wrong foods, eating a diet in high sugar, high salt, highly processed is going to cause grief to your body. As you all know, lack of sleep, exercise, and stress are those lifestyle factors which I am always talking about, because if you have any of these 3 out of whack, then it's going to cause your metabolism to be out of whack as well. And any weight that you want to drop or any health that you want to improve in your overall general health and well-being is going to be interfered with by those big 3. But we are looking at sugar. So the average consumption of sugar is wow, it's increased so much since our grandparents, and we're averaging about 30 teaspoons of sugar a day. And just for the sake of you knowing, that's about 480 calories, which is a lot in the scheme of things when the average Australian diet is around 2,000, I think. So that's another sort of 25% again. But the problem is it's insidious, it's in all of our food, whereas you think back to what I just mentioned about our grandparents who were lucky to be having 5 teaspoons of sugar a day. So we know that our daily consumption is too high. We know that sugar disrupts our natural energy levels because of how insidious it is and because of such a disruptor that it is. It really interferes with your general flow of energy over the day. And what it does is it spikes when you're having this constant high blood sugar all times. You're spiking your blood sugar level, and your body only wants to keep your blood sugar level on this lovely natural, if you could see me describe, it's like I'm just doing this sort of undulating little stream here with my hands. It doesn't want it coming crashing down with these waterfalls all the time. And that's what a high sugar diet does. It's constantly causing grief and sending your body on this energy roller coaster. And hence it's at 3-4 p.m. slump in the afternoon, or seeking out those cravings late at night, or maybe even first thing when you wake up. It causes chaos. So what does it do? It increases our sugar cravings. Surprise, surprise. We know now that sugar is very, very addictive. And for those that haven't heard, and I know a couple of you may not have heard about my little mouse story, but in research, the mouse was taken to his little mouse den, and in one corner he was drip-fed cocaine, and then in the other corner he was drip-fed sugar. And then so the mouse had a lovely time and a great big party in his little mouse den, going from one corner having the cocaine and then going to the other corner to have the sugar. But guess what? Eventually he ignored the cocaine altogether and only went to the sugar. So how addictive is that? That's just frightening. So it is even more addictive than social drugs like cocaine and heroin and things like that. And when you know that and when you understand that, you can appreciate why it can be so addictive and why it is difficult for you to break those habits and break those cravings, and why you're constantly looking for it, because your mind is constantly looking for it. Yes, you can break this addiction, and yes, it's totally doable, but it's great to understand why you have it in the first place, because it is actually a neurophysiological response in your body from sugar on your brain. We know that it feeds your gut big time and disrupts your gut, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. And eventually it will too much sugar will numb your body to insulin and the insulin response. And the insulin response is all about getting that sugar level down and returning your body to its level of satiety and harmony and all that sort of thing. But while that's going on, your fat is in lockdown and it's not going anywhere. It's just staying behind the lockdown gates because your body wants to remove all this sugar. So you need to be aware that if your insulin is being numbed by too much sugar, you'll eventually become insulin resistant. So insulin is in charge of how you derive energy from the foods that you eat. So as I said, you have a large amount of sugar. Your body goes, okay, fat stores, you're in lockdown. Insulin's job to get that sugar out of the bloodstream into your energy stores, and it's stored in glycogen. And we have got little storage boxes in our liver and our muscle, but usually if you have a high sugar, high carb diet, then those glycogen stores are full. So your body goes, okay, where are we going to do it? And then they go, well, Caroline's sitting at the desk all day today and she's really not expending much energy. And so we'll try and burn off as much as the sugar that we can with the energy that she's spending at the desk. But guess what? It's not all going to be burnt off. So what are we going to do with it? We're going to flick the switch and turn it into fat. So that's when it becomes your fat. And it just gets thrown in there, and then have another high sugar meal or a high sugar treat, and this constantly going on throughout the day. And that's what happens. And eventually, if it's going too much, too hard, too long, your body starts to say enough and becomes insulin resistant, and then insulin can't do the job that it is designed to do. This slide is a very old slide from David Gillespie. I don't know if any of you remember him, but he was a lawyer that got into his 40s and was leading the good life and sitting down and not moving enough, and suddenly he sort of found himself 15 or 20 k's overweight. And he decided to do something about it and actually end up leaving the law firm, I believe, and concentrate on spending and learning all he could about sugar, and wrote a book and did a movie. So there we go. But he used this slide in one of his presentations that I went to, and he was talking specifically about fructose. And as you know, fructose is the sugar in fruits. But what we do know is that fructose is a very highly cheap, easily produced sugar available to food manufacturers, and so they use it in everything, and it's often referred to as high fructose corn syrup. So he did a lot of research on exactly what that is doing to our body. So I'll quickly go through this. So things like tooth decay, well, that's obvious. Leaky gut, as I mentioned before, sugar disrupts the gut, and our gut lining is only one cell thick, so it's very easy for it to be permeated, and then what happens is toxins get into the bloodstream, and that leads to a whole lot of intestinal inflammation. The more inflammation we have, often the more fat we have. It leads to fatty liver. Often fatty liver is associated with too much alcohol, but no, it can be too much fructose. Type 2 diabetes, well, that's an obvious one because insulin sensitivity is a precursor to type 2. Obesity, kidney failure, gout, Alzheimer's is pretty spooky. It's showing age products appearing in the brains of Alzheimer patients when they're doing the autopsies, and I'll talk about that more in a minute. Depression, well, that's not a surprise if your body's going on and your mind is going on this emotional roller coaster the whole time. Heart disease, again, fairly obvious. Hypertension, high blood pressure. Makes all sense. And erectile dysfunction, hence Homer having his little fig leaf over his non-working erectile. So there we go. So that's just some very picturesque ideas of what sugar is doing to your body. So I mentioned sugar is aging. Now, it has an enormous impact on the rate at which you age. So we think about, particularly with women, we think about our aging and our skin and our wrinkles and our hair and our muscle tone and how strong our nails are and what's showing on the outside, but what you're maybe not paying attention to is what's going on the inside. And the state of your organs, how they function, your joints, your bones, the creakiness, they're degrading naturally. But sugar accelerates the degradation, and that's through a process of glycation, inflammation, and oxidation. When you glycate something, you combine it with sugar. So the body does it through a normal process. And what it does with all these excess sugars is it adds them to the proteins and to the fats, which is not what we want. And then this process starts with all these extra sugars being added to the proteins and stuff. It produces a nasty byproduct called advanced glycation end products, which is commonly referred to as AGEs. It's ironic that it's ages and it's aging us. So can you see the connection? I'm sure you can. Your diet, the types of food you eat, contribute to this process. And these high blood sugar levels over time dramatically increase the AGEs in your body, and AGEs accelerate the aging process. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm a woman in my 50s and I'm very aware of the entire aging process, and I'm looking after aging parents as we speak. And I want to grow old gracefully. I want to grow young, actually. I want to grow gracefully and as healthy and as my body in a fabulous state of well-being, so I can enjoy that process. And I know that by eating nutritionally nourishing real foods mindfully, etc., I'm going to give my body the best chance to do that. And you can see how it kind of makes sense. I just wanted to show you these fun ladies in New York. I think it's Iris Apfel is her name, and she's in her 90s now. But she has aged loudly, boldly, colourfully, and she's great. But hey, why can't we all do that? Like, seriously, why can't we do that? Sugar and weight loss. So it interferes obviously with weight loss. You all know that. As I've said earlier, the new way to shed the kilos is 80% what you put in your mouth and 20% how you move your body. Because the calories of real food, the food that I want you eating, aren't equivalent anymore to the calories of processed food. The message is all about the food you eat. So you have the message in your food. Being a real food is giving your body vibrant health, great messages, nourishing vitamins, minerals, nutrients, micronutrients, trace minerals, trace elements, everything that you need to create this fabulous body. You eat crap food, high sugar food, high oils, high processed, highly packaged. None of the food, there's no good messages in there. They're called dry goods for a reason. They've been devoid of anything real, and it creates miserable health. And then it creates inflammation, and this inflammation is going to disrupt and interfere with your overall well-being. You can see how it works. So what to do? I understand that it's like, oh my God, like what do we do? Particularly when food manufacturers have all these different names for sugar. Now, this is one of my old slides. Now, I think there's last time I checked, there's close to 100 different names that food manufacturers use for the word sugar in their food manufacturing process. So for the general public, they might be looking for the word sugar in the ingredients label, not realizing that all these different words are just all different versions of sugar, and a lot of them are the high fructose sugar that I'm talking about, which is really, really nasty. So where is it appearing? It's appearing everywhere. It's appearing in canned vegetables, soups and fruit juices. Tomato sauce is half sugar. Barbecue sauce is 2/3 sugar. Peanut butter. I'm not talking about my 100% natural Maver's peanut butter. I'm talking about the Crafts, which I think are called now the Begas or whatever, but they are sugar and salt filled. Obviously breakfast cereals, oatmeal breads, dry biscuits, muffins, muesli bars, salad dressings in the supermarket, iced teas, pasta sauces, syrups, protein bars, muesli bars specifically flavoured yogurt, sports drinks, cordials. They just keep coming. They're in all your processed foods. So we don't want you eating the processed foods. No, let me rephrase that. Choose not to eat the processed foods. Choose not to eat the vegetable oils and nasty vegetables because they are also highly inflammatory. Choose not to eat the fast food and choose not to eat the foods full of sugar, which is 80% of the food products on your supermarket shelf. And I get it. If you have these cravings at the moment, you have to know, and that's why I want to share with you how addictive it is, that it's your brain and your body, physiological responses in your body causing you this grief, okay? It doesn't have to be this way. So what I want you to do is just, if you're about to go and grab something sugary, just stop what you're doing. Take that series of deep breaths. You know what it is? 3, 6 deep breaths, nice and long and deep. Just stop, create some space in your mind, and then I want you to ask yourself the question, are you hungry? Because it's more than likely that you're not. You'll work out that you're not physically hungry. It's this craving going on, this habit behavior that is going on. If you are hungry and you go through the process of having the water and seeing you are physically hungry, then yes, go and find something real and mindfully to eat. If you're not hungry and you're staring at this high sugar food, congratulate yourself for not having it, have your glass of water and get out of the kitchen and go do something else. And maybe just go and sit down and work out why it is, but you now know what's driving these cravings and these habits and these behaviors. Easier said than done, I know you're saying, Caroline, but just take the time to go through this small process. And maybe if that sugar craving is super, super strong and you can't resist it, grab a mandarin, okay? Or a small bunch of grapes or a small handful of berries, and remove yourself from the kitchen and go and sit down and eat them very slowly and very mindfully and suck on them like lollies and just enjoy the natural sweetness from that particular food other than the nasty food that you're potentially going to eat. So it's all about eating real food, because it's this food that's going to send you the right messages to your cells and to your body and give you that beautiful health and wellness and anti-aging that you want. We're shopping outside the room of the supermarket, at our local health food store, at our local butcher, at our local farmers market if we were allowed to go to them, at our local fruit and marketer. That's where we want to shop. And make sure we're always having that lovely combination of the proteins, the healthy fats and vegetables in every meal, because that's what's going to keep you full of longer, the proteins, the healthy fats. And if weight loss is your thing, you know in my books it's 1/4 of your plate is your protein source, 3/4 plate is salad and veg, and then drizzle with some beautiful healthy fats. If you're in maintenance phase, it's quarter, half. Quarter protein, quarter can be your starchy carb, it can be your couscous, your brown rice, starchy, the heavier starchy vegetables, and half is vegetables and salad, as long as you've got the healthy fat. And as you know, it's always water, and more water. So it's vegetables, fruits, low sugar at the moment, as you know, only 2 a day, grass-fed meats, poultry, fish, nuts, seeds, healthy oils. And as you know, for we are not having legumes, dairies, grains, or ancient grains, or pseudo cereals as they're called. I'm now 2 weeks today of no grains, no dairy, no legumes. I've had 1 milk latte, which my husband bought me by mistake, and I've had half a cup of brown rice because I couldn't resist it with my stir-fried vegetables. And I was serving it for the boys and I just snuck a little bit on. But I'm 2 weeks today and I've really noticed the difference. I feel like this whole layer has been taken off me, and I'm not joking. It's right from the heads to my toes. As I talked about the other day, it's like this tap's been turned off, and it's just this, and a lot of it's water, I get that. But there'll be some inflammation and toxins going there too, which is a little bit exciting. So I hope you're feeling that too. And I want you to decide, are you going to keep going with the no legumes, no dairy, no grains? I am. I'm going to do it for the full 5 weeks. Why not? Treat it like an experiment and an adventure. And let's just give your body that real clean out. Because, hey, COVID's everywhere around us. And this is making you super healthy. And then when you're ready to bring them back in, we'll just do 1 group at a time over a week and see how your body reacts to it, and see what happens on the scale, and see what happens to that puffiness in your skin or your eyes or your nails or your energy levels. And then we can start to play with it and see what works for you and what doesn't. That's the beauty of this. Your body is open to all these wonderful new things. So eat clean for the next few weeks. You're doing a fabulous job. We're removing toxins. We're increasing the circulation throughout our body. We're decreasing the cravings. We're balancing our blood sugar levels, and we're boosting our energy naturally. Because this is a real food reset. We've got no shakes, no pills, no processed junk, no restriction or deprivation. You guys are doing this beautifully. Keep doing it. I'm so proud of you. Anytime, reach out for those that, excuse me, I've got dry throat, not COVID. For any of those that have asked me questions, I said I'd get back to you yesterday afternoon. I've had a frantic sort of 24 hours. So I promise you I'll have answers for you at the end of the weekend. I'll just do it personally, or I might do some more videos. We'll see what happens. Have a beautiful Friday. Enjoy this magnificent sunshine and boost your energy naturally, because if not now, when? Look forward to speaking to you. Bye for now.